Now proceed to respond.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to really thank honorable senators who've raised quite a number of pertinent issues relating to the functioning of our Huduma Center. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with Senator Catherine Muma. I believe, Speaker, I believe I know most of the senators by their names. On the question of migration from NHIF into the SHIF is a matter that has exercised the minds of many people in government. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, since I think 2 weeks ago, I have been appalled by the information that has been coming through that only a paltry 1.2 million Kenyans have so far registered. I think it's a matter that should worry everybody who really is intent on seeing the success of the rolling out of the universal health coverage, if it has to really be seen to cover the entire country, and as many people as it is intended to. But Mr. Speaker, and I think my response to this question would is likely to answer some other question that has been raised maybe by some other senators. The Speaker, we at Huduma Center, or indeed at the ministry, cannot or do not have the wherewithal to compel the ministries, other ministries, departments, agencies, and counties to utilize the services offered by Huduma Kenya in their centers. And indeed, it is in that regard that I did indicate the efforts that have been made by my predecessor in March of this year, by the Prime Cabinet Secretary in April 22nd this year, trying to appeal to ministries, departments, and agencies to kindly utilize these services. We, at the ministry, have offered to hold training sessions whereby we can have the people we are calling universal staffers, will be a person who is capable of offering services, frontal services, requiring, say, for instance, renewal of driving licenses, birth certificates, certificates of good conduct, and several of those services. We can have one person deal with 5 to even 10 services. But the Speaker, as we all know, change moves very slowly. It happens very slowly. So we are seeing this in ministries, departments, and agencies, and indeed even as well as in counties. But as of today, our CEO at the Huduma Kenya Secretariat has written to the Social Health Authority asking them to utilize the services availed at the Huduma centers to register more Kenyans into the SHIF. That will be my response, Mr. Speaker, to the question raised by the Honorable Senator Muma, with whom I agree. Indeed, the issues he has pointed out is quite true. With regard to the issue of universal access raised by Senator Mbugua, indeed, it is true that we would require a lot of lead time, because it's only this year that we have seen a lot of efforts being made, but we continue appealing to ministries and departments and agencies. We at Huduma Kenya will be ready to deploy those people, specially or variously abled. Maybe people who may need braille services, people who may need sign language services at our Huduma centers. But of course, it's a process that takes time, because as we are saying, ministries and departments are not rolling out as fast as we would have expected. But also, I want to agree that there is need for us to begin, even if it is just here in Nairobi, because I want to admit, we don't have people offering those kind of services. But it is a desire of Huduma Kenya to have such services also available in our some of our centers, depending on need. Again, there will be need to do some needs assessment. The Speaker, there is a question raised by the Honorable Senator Kio Wambua, Senator, the distinguished Senator for Kitui, with regard to service charters. I want to say that there is an element of commonness, just like we have in MOUs. As a service charter is likely to, one service charter is likely to differ just slightly depending on the kind of service that a particular MDA, ministry or department, or indeed a county wishes to offer. But generally, they are common. In fact, I have a model one here, which are annexed as in the responses that I filed to the House. It's annexed as Annex 1, which was the one, the Tana River Huduma Center full service delivery charter. But it will be modified depending on the kind of service that an MDA or a ministry would be offering. The Speaker, the Senator for Embu, Honorable Chandra Kamundigi, Munyi Mundigi, I did indicate, Mr. Speaker, that I know. But the Honorable Mundigi took me to a different area. It's about employment and fairness in recruitment. Mr. Speaker, this ministry, the Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital Development, is not involved in employment or recruitment into the public service. However, that's a function, a constitutional function given to the Public Service Commission. As you well know, I'm sure the House is well familiar with the provisions of Article 234. More particularly, if you read Clause 2, it is their responsibility to employ, and if you go to Clause 2, you go to even Paragraph A, Roman 2, you may see the functions of the Public Service Commission, and I'm sure the Honorable Senator for Kakamega is likely to expound further on what is provided in that Article 234, Clause 2, Paragraph A, Roman 2. It's not a function of the ministry, it's a function of the Public Service Commission, but they are to be guided, as we all know, by the requirements placed in Article 232 on values in public service, and also as contained more particularly in the Public Service Commission Act of 2017. The Speaker,